So, just to set the table, the New York Times reporting per Pentagon officials, the spy balloon was remotely maneuverable to some degree by the Chinese, and that it was first spotted in the United States last Saturday, January 28th, right? That's January 28th. So, like, not this past Saturday, but the Saturday before that. And somebody in Team Biden was briefed on it. And then the president was personally alerted on Tuesday when it was in northern Idaho and asked for military options, according to the New York Times. And then he was told, I guess he claims now that he said, let's shoot it down, but that General Milley and Secretary Austin advised against that while it was over land. Thus, they waited until Saturday when it was over the Atlantic to shoot it down. First of all, what do you make of that alleged chain of events?
Well, I'm sure they spotted it over the Aleutian Islands in Alaska, and I don't think this is the first time that China's ever done this with the balloons. I'm sure we've seen it before, and a lot of times there's really no need to tell the public a lot. I mean, if it's out over the the Pacific, just because if there's nothing you can do about it, there's no need to freak people out. But it wasn't really until it got over Montana that I think some private pilots spotted it, and they reported, and it went up to NORAD, and eventually people had it. But my father took a picture of it from his hot tub. And my brother, who's got his own morning show in Butte, Montana, said, hey, he helps me with some of my podcast ideas and gives us some links. He says, hey, there's this weird balloon over Montana. Here's the link in case you don't hear about it. I was like, oh, we're going to hear about it. We're definitely going to hear about it. It's just a matter of when. And then, they could have done something about it there. Shooting it down it is provocative, but so is flying in our airspace. You remember what they did with our P-3 Orion a few years back when they brought it down with fighter jet escorts and reverse engineer it like they do. I mean, I don't know why they need to do that when they can just send their spies that are at NYU to steal all of our stuff like they do anyway. But for the president,
call Hunter.
Yeah. But for the president to say, yeah, I wanted to shoot it down, but then they told me I couldn't. He kind of said the quiet part out loud that he's admitting he's not in charge. The Pentagon does not overrule the commander in chief. I'm not sure if everyone knows how the chain of command works, but if he says shoot it down, shoot it down. And that's how it works. General Milley doesn't have a say, and he can be an advisor, which he is. But they said no, and he agreed because he just does what he's told.
Plus, don't you, Rob, I mean, I admittedly know nothing about this, but there's a lot of open prairie in America. There's a lot of open space in Montana in particular. They're like, oh, well, it wasn't safe to shoot it down when, there are people on the ground. Like, as if every square inch of the United States is populated in the way that Manhattan is.
Yeah, it's just something they're going to say. It's one of those things where it's easy to stare at your phone and yell because you think something is what it is. Like the ocean's a lot bigger than people think. Montana's a lot bigger than you think. And we should have at least a little bit of the geometry to realize where and when you can shoot it down. It actually reminded me of a story. When we went to rescue Captain Phillips, we had to jump out of a C-17 over the Indian Ocean. And we had these big garbage bags. We won't get into what was in them, but I asked before I jumped, I asked the air crew, hey, are you going to throw these out into the Indian Ocean? He goes, no, we're just going to land with them. I'm like, dude, just throw them out. And he said, what if we hit one of your boats? And I said, I'll give you $10,000 if you can. You're not going to hit anybody. It's not the odds aren't with you. So they should have shot it down over Montana or before that. But I mean, They had to once the people see it and the president realized we see it. They can't lie their way out of this one. So we just monitor.
That's it.
The funniest one was the meme when it flew over Missouri and someone put a meme of some dude having a barbecue throwing a beer bottle at it, saying this is how we handled it in Missouri.
But you just touched on it, right? Because they did not make it public. They didn't make it public when it was in Alaska. The only reason it became public is because the locals in Montana started making a bit about it, a buzz about it. And then the local NBC reported it. And then it grew into a national story. And all the while, the Biden administration, understanding full well this was happening, was planning on still sending Secretary of State Blinken over there to meet with Xi Jinping. The meeting was 100% still on. And it wasn't until it started really blowing up nationally that they were like, oh, okay. Oh, we canceled the meeting. I mean, this is outrageous. Bull, you didn't think it was outrageous. You just bent the knee because we made you bend the knee.
Yeah, you just got caught. They should have shot it down and sent Secretary Blinken that day. Go over there and meet with him. Shot it down. You can't, like it or not, the world is a much safer place when America is strong. And we're very, very weak right now, and we're showing it to them. China's running. They're running they're the puppeteer. We're just at the end of the strings, dancing with whoever's at the bottom of it.
Mm-hmm. I know. Well, that's the problem. Is that just your schoolyard bully history, not yours in particular. I'm saying one's memories of those moments tell you when the bully starts to be provocative, you really just have to punch him in the face. There's no dancing around it.
That's how it ends. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what they're doing. And we're kind of like hiding behind the one apparatus on the playground. Like, hopefully he won't see us and he'll just take that fist away. Hopefully he won't bother us again. Maybe if we're super nice, but I'm not going to have lunch with you. I'm not going to sit with you at the lunch table. Maybe that'll stop you. We don't have the resolve to do that. And I'm not sure we're really even in the position right now to do that, given everything that's happening in Russia and so on. What do you think?
Well, I heard jokes saying if we just raise the Ukrainian flag over Montana, maybe then they defend our borders. But it is that thing with the bully too. And China's they're going to keep pushing and pushing. And with Xi Jinping, he's in a spot where he's the most brutal dictator China's ever seen. And that's saying a lot. And that means that no one around him will ever tell him anything resembling the truth. So they're just, they're going to push us as far as they can. And the bully never goes away just because you ask him nicely. Or like you said, you don't just change seats or whatever. China's running the show right now. The good thing is we're like, there's the bully at school, but there's also the big, dumb, good guy that doesn't know how tough he is until he has to fight. And that's us. There are people in this military, in the Pentagon, in DC, in every branch that knows how to fight. In Space Force, that they had their big opportunity here and kind of blew that one. But if and when we need to, they're always saying how China has more ships than we do in the Navy. Fine, they have a bigger Navy, but if it comes down to it, which I hope it doesn't, they'll find out the hard way. It won't be that's not going to be a fun war, and I'm not advocating for it. But certainly, I'd rather a deterrent than have to fight. And right now, we're not deterring anything. Everyone's realized they can just roll us over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it reminds me of my college boyfriend who was captain of the lacrosse team at Syracuse. And they won 3 national championships, and he knew a thing or two about competition. And he used to say, and he was from Yorktown Heights, New York, which is, actually kind of where AOC is from. In any event, he used to say, you don't have to fight. You just have to make the other guy believe you want to fight, that you would fight, that you're ready to. That's it. I never saw him throw a punch, but he certainly projected, I will if you make me.
If you project strength, people will think you're strong. That's why they call it a dog fight. The dog barks loud because you don't want to fight him. Once the dog gets in a fight, then it's kind of over. But the bark, they always say the bark is worse than its bite, and sometimes that's enough. And that's one of our pillars of national defense is other than alliance solidarity and forward defense, it's deterrence, and we're good at that. Right now we're showing that we'd rather be politically correct and inclusive with equity than show strength.
I have never been able to compost before. Always seemed too complicated, like too much work, too weird. Not anymore. Thanks to Lomi. Lomi is allowing me to turn my food scraps into dirt with the push of a button, and it's fun for the whole family. Lomi is a countertop electric composter that turns scraps to dirt in under 4 hours. There's no smell when it runs, and it's super quiet. You don't even know it's there. Thanks to Lomi, I have way less garbage each week, and instead, I am turning our family's food waste into nutrient-rich dirt that I can feed to my plants. Now I am composting and creating soil instead of waste. I have a basically limitless supply of dirt from my garden, and you can have all of this too. If you would like to start making a positive environmental impact or just make cleanup after dinner that much easier and fun for the whole family, Lomi is perfect for you. Go to lomi.com/MK and use the promo code MK to get $50 off your Lomi. $50 off when you head to lomi.com/MK and use that promo code MK at checkout. Food waste is gross. Lomi is your solution. Lomi.com/MK. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.